So the enemy is going to have to touch on this point, right? If the enemy is following key points in Jesus's life to deceive the people, he's going to have to touch on this, correct? Now, let's read Revelation chapter 13, verses 13 through 15. He performs great signs so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs, plural, which means he's going to do more than one, which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. Who was wounded by the sword. That leads us to believe the Antichrist will be pierced. What does a sword do? It pierces. What happened to Jesus on Calvary at the cross? He was pierced. So the enemy has to follow certain points, and this is my point with making you consider all of this, has to touch on certain key points to kind of make it look like the same thing. And the Antichrist is pierced by the sword, pierced, and through seemingly miraculous events is resurrected and lives. He's going to be pierced and he's going to recover. However, this is going to have to be a major mortal wound. This isn't just, you know what I mean? His flesh was grazed. This is something where all the best doctors in the world coming together could not save this person. This is something where this person is as good as dead. The chances of survival are nil, are none. And it is so miraculous that it puts people in a technological age in awe. You have to think about this too. The way technology is, there is not a lot that leaves people in awe. This miraculous counterfeit event, because it's a counterfeit miracle, of the Antichrist getting pierced and then being resurrected is another point that the enemy has to touch on. You see, the enemy knows he's got to make it look like the real thing. He's got to make the Antichrist look like the real deal. And the only way to make them believe he is God or he's the Messiah is to do things throughout the life of Jesus and counterfeit those things and kind of make it look like it enough to create a great deception. The miracles, and I'm putting those in parentheses, are going to be mimicked along the same line, and the kind of miracles perhaps to solve similar issues Jesus faced. So if he's going to perform signs, some of it has to mimic the things Jesus did. Maybe feeding a large amount of people who have no food, making it look completely miraculous. Maybe turning water into something else. Maybe solving an enormous crisis. Maybe making it look like people that are deathly ill with cancer are suddenly healed. But somehow the miracles, the signs, have to biblically follow in line the signs of the prophets and the signs of Jesus. Why is he calling fire out of the sky? Well, if we go back to Mount Carmel and the showdown between the prophets of God and the prophets of Baal, Elisha, the prophet, called down fire from heaven to consume the sacrifice. And that validated that God was God and Elisha was a prophet of the Most High God. So it has to follow along the line of the signs and wonders of the prophets and of Jesus. I also believe the Antichrist is going to surround himself with astrologers, not astronomers. You see, the wise men, the company of wise men in the Bible never says there was just three. They just brought him three gifts. People assume there were three wise men because there were three gifts given, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But actually, it doesn't say the amount of wise men that came. It could have been a company of 50 people. But they were astronomers, so they watched the skies. They watched for prophecy and signs in the skies. The Antichrist is going to surround himself with astrologers and scientists. That's what I believe he's going to surround himself with. Astrologers, scientists, and those in the occult who may be undercover, who are around him to assist him. Now, when the wise men, the wise company of men came to Jesus to give him gold, frankincense, and myrrh, Jesus was 2 years old, actually. So Jesus was not a newborn when these wise men came. He was actually 2 years old by the time the wise company of men made the journey to get to him. Now, this is biblical. So we're going to come back to that in a minute, because this has to tie into Herod, who is a form of an antichrist. Now, the false prophet that's spoken about, that kind of is the front man for the Antichrist, the one that advertises him. You know what I mean? The one that proclaims he is and lies about who he is and what he is. False prophet is likened to John the Baptist, readying the people. John the Baptist readied the people and prepared the way for Yeshua to come. So the false prophet has to also prepare the way for the Antichrist to come. Remember, it's a counterfeit. It's got to touch on these points to make the people believe it. Two religions, at least, are going to be merged together in this. At least two. Might be a big Golden Corral buffet where a little bit of everything is taken. But there's going to be a merging here. Now, interestingly enough, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam all believe in prophets. Make that mental note. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam predominantly all believe in prophets. They all believe it. Now, Herod, and I'm trying to think of how to say this. King Herod was a picture of the Antichrist. Herod gave the orders. That's why Herod gave the orders. Destroy every male child 2 years of age and under. Because they knew at that point, Jesus at the maximum was 2 years old. So to be safe, he gives orders that all boys 2 years of age and under are to be killed. Picture of the Antichrist giving the order to destroy the people of God in order so Herod could stay in power. The Antichrist is going to give the order to destroy the people of God so he can stay in power. So you see, at the beginning, the paradigm with Herod and Jesus is going to be the similar paradigm between the Antichrist and the people of God, our Jewish brothers and sisters, especially. So as it was at the beginning, so it's how going to be. So at the beginning of Jesus's life, how it was, you have the picture of the Antichrist, Herod, giving the order to destroy all the males 2 years of age and under in order to put fear in the people of God, weaken the people of God, and in order to destroy the promise that God gave the earth so he could stay in power. That is a picture of the Antichrist. That's a picture of it right there.